In a small Inuit settlement nestled on the edge of the eternal permafrost, life was simple but harsh. Every day was a struggle against the cold, against hunger, against the endless white emptiness that surrounded the people. Ila, a young mother, knew this struggle firsthand. She lived for her son, her little son that warmed her soul better than any fire. She loved these quiet evenings when, tired from the day, she could finally rest, looking at the peaceful face of her little one, who slept soundly in his furry Amautik. This evening was just like that. The wind howled outside the hut, but inside it was warm and cozy. Ila sat by the fire, tossing in dry branches, listening to the even breathing of her son. Suddenly, through the sound of the wind, she heard a quiet, barely audible cry. It was like a baby's cry, but with a strange, eerie tone. Ila tensed. "It's just the wind," she whispered to herself. "Just the wind playing with the snow." Ila felt her heart beat faster. She glanced at her son. He was sleeping peacefully and soundly. But the crying didn't stop. It was coming from outside, from the direction of the shore. It seemed to penetrate the hut's hide walls, soaking into her very flesh, freezing the blood in her veins. It was a cry filled with boundless sorrow, and it seemed some otherworldly emptiness. Unable to resist, Ila slowly got up and stepped out into the frigid air. The moon was reflected in the icy water shimmering by the shore. She looked around. The settlement was asleep. The fires had gone out. Only smoke from the chimneys rose into the black sky. Ila felt completely alone. Ila's gaze was drawn to a silhouette standing in the water. It was a woman, but she was too tall, too graceful, and her outline seemed blurred in the moonlight. Her face was hidden in shadow, but Ila saw that she was wearing a huge furry Amautik. The fur was long, almost touching the water, and as black as night. Suddenly, the woman slowly turned. Her face remained in shadow, but Ila saw with horror that her skin was not human, but scaly, like a fish's. Instead of legs, she seemed to have a tail that writhed under the water, and claws peeked out from under the fur, glinting savagely in the moonlight. It was a Qalupalik, the terrifying creature from the legends her mother had used to scare her as a child so she wouldn't get too close to the water. But the legend never mentioned how horrifying its Amautik was. From inside its fur pouch, countless tiny hands peeked out. They writhed, flailing in convulsive movements, and it was the most terrifying thing Ila had ever seen. The baby's crying intensified, and now she understood that it wasn't one, but dozens of souls crying, trapped inside. Among them, she noticed a small silver bracelet. It belonged to Marie, a little girl who had vanished from the neighboring settlement a few months ago. The very bracelet Ila had given her for her birthday. Ila felt her consciousness begin to drift. Her legs became as if made of cotton, and her head spun. The Qalupalik began to move slowly toward her, and its humming became so strong it felt as though it had entered her brain, making her forget everything: her son, her home, the world. She wanted to lie down on the snow, fall asleep, and never wake up. But then, from inside the hut, a strong, clear cry was heard. It was her son. His cry was full of life. It cut through the darkness of the night and dispelled the hypnotic haze that had enveloped Isla. She started as if from a blow and screamed, "No!" The Qalupalik stopped. Its scaly face contorted into a grimace that resembled fury. It slowly raised a hand, and the thought crossed Isla's mind that it was all over now. But she wasn't going to give up. Isla turned and, gathering her last strength, ran back to the hut. She heard a loud splash of water behind her, and then silence. She burst inside, grabbed her son, and held him tightly, burrowing into the furs. She felt his small heart beating fast and warm. She listened to his breathing, his faint sob, and felt life returning to her. She heard someone walking slowly on the snow outside their hut, and then the footsteps stopped. The air around them seemed to grow heavy. Isla held her breath. Then the footsteps vanished. Morning came. Isla hadn't slept all night. When the sun rose over the horizon, she carefully unfolded the furs and looked at her son. He was sleeping, his face clean and peaceful. Isla would never again doubt the old legends. She knew that there were things in the world that lived in the darkness, and that the water could hide not only fish, but also an unknown evil. She would tell this story to her son, and he would tell it to his children, because some legends exist not to scare, but to protect.